Let me see if I can get some more light here. Okay. Shabbat Shalom, brothers and sisters. Scattered nation of the children of Jacob, scattered throughout this north, south, east, and west. Shabbat Shalom, wherever in the world you might be. Shabbat Shalom to all of Yah's chosen who are seeking by the power of his spirit of perfect righteousness through his representation, Mashiach Yahushai, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, to give honor and glory to the name of Yahweh through his spirit by obedience to his everlasting covenant. Greetings to the 12 tribes scattered abroad and to those who are grafted in or seek to be grafted in to the Messiah through faith and by the Hebrew nation as the connection, by the Hebrew people. Tonight we're going to be looking at Isaiah chapter 60. We have been studying Isaiah for a number of weeks now. Shabbat Shalom. We have been studying Isaiah for a number of weeks now. And tonight we'll be looking at Isaiah chapter 60. And what we're calling this teaching today is the last world order. The last world order. Right now we are living under a world order. It is continuing to evolve as time goes on. The devil, the Asatan, has had this plan in motion for 6,000 years. He has made various attempts to bring it to fruition. The first attempt that we know about was before the flood. And the Bible shows us that before the flood, in the book of Jude, and Jude has one scripture, but the preaching of Enoch before the flood, before he was translated, gives us a hint of what was going on at the time. Jude, beginning at verse 14, and going down to verse 16. Jude, verse 14 to 16. And Enoch also, the seventh from Adam, prophesied of thee, saying, Behold, Yahweh cometh with 10,000s of his saints to execute judgment upon all. So apparently there were prophets of the Most High prior to the flood, which we know, prophesying of coming judgment before the flood. Okay? And to convince all that are ungodly among them, so there are those that were ungodly, Shabbat Shalom, Junior, of all their ungodly deeds which they have ungodly committed, ungodly deeds being ungodly committed, and of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him, of all their hard speeches which ungodly sinners have spoken against him. Against who? Against the Most High. So they were people of religious persuasion before the flood, speaking religious things against the Most High. That is by the power of the enemy, Asatan. Okay? So these men were being used of Asatan to speak things against the Creator. And as we know from the modern Babylon, from the beast power, they do this in a deceptive manner. They don't do it straight on. You have to understand the word to know what they're doing. For example, if I was to tell you that, well, first of all, I'm going to assume that some of you listening believe that there's only one true God, and his name is Yah. Okay, I'm going to assume that there's at least some of you listening that understand even now that there's only one true God. There's only one Father, and his name is Yahweh or Yah. Some people say Yahuwah. Fine. But everybody agrees it's Yah. and that he is above all. He's above Messiah. He's above all prophets. He's above all things. So if I was to say there was a man on the earth that says he's the Most High, that he's the Holy Father, would you not think that that was blasphemy? And yet the people do it. They smile on their face. They do it like very casually. They'll call this man the Holy Father. There's a man on the earth that allows himself and calls himself the Holy Father. But there's only one Holy Father. And so we know that's blasphemy. But because they do it so casually, with smiles on their faces, we don't recognize that it's blasphemy. Okay? And that's how slick preachers that talk for the devil talk. Verse 16. These are murmurers, complainers, walking after their own lusts, and their mouth speaking great swelling words, having men's persons in admiration because of advantage. What does that mean? That means they're in positions of prominence. That Asatan, who the Bible says about the modern Babylonian beast power, that the Bible says that the dragon gives him what? His power, his seat, and great authority. So that the powers that are anti-Messiah are in prominent positions. Prominent positions to make people admire them. Prominent positions to make people respect what they say. Okay? That was before the flood. Then we know that Nimrod was raised up, a mighty hunter before Yahweh, that is in front of Yahweh, that is greater than Yah, a mighty hunter, Nimrod, the Hamite. He was actually Cush's son. Cush, which we now know as Ethiopia. And his son, Nimrod, had the whole world getting ready to create a building, an edifice that would defy the creator. Asatan's attempt, because the whole world was under one speech at that time, to create an order that was under one control, that the whole world would be obedient to. Okay? My camera, something's going on here. Okay. Again, later on, another Hamite, Nebuchadnezzar, he was given power from the Most High. He was actually allowed to rule the earth. He was used to punish Yah's people. And he snatched them out the promised land, the southern kingdom of Judah. But he was also humbled by the Most High. And his grandson Belshazzar was killed and the kingdom taken from him. That's when the sons of Yafet started coming in. The Medes, along with the Persians. It was the Medes and the Persians that came over and together ruled after Babylon. They destroyed Babylon. After them, Babylon was destroyed. And then you had the Medes and the Persians rule. Then the Greek power, another son of Yafet, they ruled. Then Rome. And Rome was going to be different than all the other kingdoms. Why? Let's take a look. Daniel chapter 7. Now we're going to study Daniel in chapter by chapter as we do the rest of these prophets by the grace of the Most High, as soon as we are done with Isaiah, which we are at the end of Isaiah. But Daniel chapter, first of all, let's look at chapter 7 now. We're going to, like I said, we're going to study chapter 2, which is very much connected with chapter 7. So we get a more clearer picture. But let's look at chapter 7 for now. The fourth beast that Daniel saw rising up out of the sea, the fourth beast, which is the Roman power. And let's look at Daniel chapter 7. And I'm going to begin at the fourth beast. Now, he saw four beasts coming up out of the sea. Okay, let's look at that. Daniel chapter 7, beginning at verse 1 and going down to verse 3. Daniel chapter 7, from verse 1 to verse 3. In the first year of Belshazzar, king of Babylon, Daniel had a dream and visions of his head upon his bed. Then he wrote the dream and told the sum of the matters. Daniel spake and said, I saw in my vision by night, and behold, 4 winds of the heaven strove upon the great sea, and 4 beasts came up from the sea, diverse one from another. So Daniel saw 4 beasts. Now, this same Daniel 7 in verse 17 explains the beasts. It tells us what the beasts are. It says, these great beasts, which are 4 kings, which shall arise out of the earth. Now, when you look up the translation of the word kings, it could also be kingdom, or which we know like government, power, like country, right? Kingdom. So here you have 4 kingdoms that rise up out of the earth, and it says they come. They're the four winds are striving. That means, and they're fighting, right? And out of this skirmish, the sea represents Revelation chapter 17. Let's take a look real quick just to get that definition. Revelation chapter 17. Revelation 17 and verse 15. And he said unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. So when you see a dream with the sea, it represents strivings or fightings among peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Because generally, that's how power is gotten on planet Earth. It's through war. Okay? That's how power is achieved on planet Earth. That's how you get one group of people ruling over another group of people is war. There's bloodshed, there's murder, there's death. So here you had 4 kingdoms rising up out of different skirmishes of war and murder and death. Okay. So you have 4. Now we're going to learn as we study Daniel, they're Babylon, the group, that's the first one. The Medes and the Persians are 2 nations, but they formed one power, second one. And then there's the Greeks were the third, and Rome was the 4th. Okay, we're going to go through that when we study Babylon next. But so let's go now to the 4th beast directly. Now let's take a look at it. Verse 7 of Daniel chapter 7, verse 7, Daniel 7, verse 7 and 8. And after this, I saw in the night visions, and behold, a 4th beast, dreadful and terrible and strong exceedingly. And it had great iron teeth. It devoured and brake in pieces and stamped the residue with the feet of it. And it was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. Now let's stop here. So the 4th beast, which we said was Rome, it said that this beast was dreadful, terrible, and very strong, right? Dreadful, terrible, and strong. And it devoured and brake in pieces. Like it was aggressive. It was violent. Now, all of these kingdoms were aggressive and violent, but apparently this 4th beast, the Roman Empire, set a standard for aggressiveness and violence that was above all the rest. Okay, it was strong exceeding. And then it said about it, it was diverse. Like, in other words, there was something different about this one. Aside from it being the most aggressive, aside from being the most deadly and ruthless, aside from that, there was something different from this one, from all the other ones that were before. See, all of them were aggressive. All of them took power by destroying other nations. And this was no different. But there was something different about this. It was diverse from all the beasts that were before it. And it had 10 horns. In the Bible, a horn is a representation of power. Okay, it's a representation of power. David said that the Most High is my tower and my horn. He's the horn of my salvation. That means he's the power of my salvation. Okay, so a horn represents a point or a power, some institution or country of power. So this particular beast power had 10 points of power that made up its kingdom. Okay, now when you're dealing with Rome, it had European powers with it as part of its empire. What you now know today as Germany was the Alemanni. As a matter of fact, if you look at some nations, the word for Germany is still Alemanni. Okay, because that's what it was. Alemanni, the Anglo-Saxons. You had Goths, you had Visigoths, you had Heruli. These are all like Portugal and Italy and Spain and the UK and Germany and France and Franks and the Burgundians, your Belgians. These are all of those people, and they were all European countries, sons of Japhet, and they were making up the Roman Empire, the powers of the Roman Empire. But this one is different from the rest. Why was it different though? Take a look. Verse 9. Oh, sorry, verse 8. I considered the horns, and behold, there came up among them a little horn, before whom there were three of the first horns plucked up by the roots. And behold, in this horn were eyes like the eyes of a man, and a mouth speaking great things. So there was a little power that came among all those power. And he spoke, when he said great things, that means he is popping off, talking mess, as we would say. Okay, popping his mouth off like he was something. He was a little horn, but he was talking great things, and he caused three other horns to be destroyed in his wake, plucked up by the roots. Okay, let's continue down. Let's go down. Daniel wanted to know, what was it about this horn? This horn was so different from the other ones. And this little horn, what was it about it? Daniel wanted to know. Most High didn't let him wait on that. He showed him. Look at this. Daniel chapter 7, verse 19. He asked the question. Then I would know the truth of the fourth beast, which was diverse from all the others, exceeding dreadful, whose teeth were of iron and his nails of brass, which devoured, break in pieces, and stamped the residue with his feet. He wanted to know about this fourth beast, who is so aggressive, so ruthless, powerful, strong. He wanted to know what was up with that. Why was it different from everybody else? And of the 10 horns that were in his head, he wanted to know about that too. And of the other which came up, the little one, before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. In other words, this one was small, but he was powerful. Look was more stout than his fellows. Okay, he was small, but he was powerful. Verse 21. I beheld, Daniel was watching this, I beheld, and the same horn, the little horn, made war with the saints and prevailed against them. So this was one of the things that was different. This horn was not only a ruthless political military power, but it specifically made war with Yah's saints. Made war. Who is Yah's saints? See, now if you're a Christian, you think, well, if you're a believer in Jesus, you're a saint. No. The saints are the Israelite people of the children of Jacob. Those are his saints. The children of Jacob are the ones, all of the promises of the Bible, as we're going to look at Isaiah 60, they're for them. Those are his saints. And then again, I always have to answer this question to our Caucasian friends who will listen. What about us? They want to know. Even though y'all been in power for 2,000 years, you want to know, what about you? Even though in the United States you've been in power for 400 years, you want to know, what about you? You don't really want to know. You know why? Because only a remnant of y'all are going to make it in this kingdom. The majority of y'all are going to be destroyed. But there's a remnant. There's a remnant. That's what's going on. There's a remnant of y'all. And how are you going to get there? The Bible tells us very plainly when it talks about the gospel, righteousness by faith. It says the Israelites, or the Judeans, the children of Yehuda, the southern kingdom of Judah, which it says Jews, they come to the Messiah by faith. But the Gentiles come to the Messiah through faith. That's what it says. It says we come to the Messiah by faith, but you come to the Messiah through faith. What does that mean? What does that mean? It's very important. Very important. The Bible only speaks about his chosen prophets as Hebrews. There's no prophets among the Gentiles. There's no Arab prophets. He speaks of his prophets that he appoints to give his word as Hebrews. You only, he says, have I known among all the families of the earth. That's the scripture. Amos chapter 3. You only have I known among all the families of the earth. He has not shown his judgments to any other people. Psalm 147. Okay, I've chosen you, that is the children of Jacob, above all the people of the earth. I can give you much more, a lot more. So what about the Gentiles, you might ask? We have any hope? Yes, you do. You have to come to Messiah through his nation. In other words, instead of joining a Baptist church or Caucasian Jesus Mormon church or the SDA church or a Jehovah's Witness, instead of going to Allah with no intercessor, you need to come to the Hebrew Israelites and let them tell you about the Hebrew Messiah. Not white Jesus. The Hebrew Messiah. The Lion of the tribe of Judah. So that you're coming through them. Because the promises are for them. And they must intercede for you. But most of you will not come. That you can get life. Because you think you're supposed to be in charge. Because for the last 2,000 years, you have been. And it's an intoxicating situation for you. That privilege is just hard to give up. Almost impossible. That is why among the Caucasians and the sons of Yafet that are going to be saved, they're going to be poor people. You see, people that are poor, that have been abused, right? People that are poor, that have been abused, that are living in the lowest rungs of this Babylonian system, they got an idea of what it's like to suffer. They got an idea of what it's like to not have privilege, though their skin is the skin of privilege. They understand. Therefore, it's not hard for them to humble themselves before Yah's chosen. It's not hard for them. Even though there's a lot of ignorant ones, as I know some of you Caucasians know what I'm talking about, there's a lot of trash out there among the lower classes also that still, in spite of all of that suffering, will not give up their privilege, will not come and humble themselves for the Most High. They're not going to do it. But you know, there's the remnant, though. There's always a remnant, and that's what the Most High is calling from among the Gentiles. We're going to read about that in Isaiah 60. But the saints, the little horn makes war with the saints. So right here, I'm telling you, the little horn is the Roman Catholic Church. This is a power that comes out of the fourth beast, which is Rome, which is a religious power that makes war against the saints. So you can tell right now, the Roman Catholic Church is partly responsible for our slavery, our enslavement. Our enslavement. You combine them with the Edomites, who call themselves Jews and are not, but the synagogue of Satan. These are Edomites. They combined between the two of them, they conspired together to enslave us. Okay? And that's why I say he makes war with the saints and prevails against them, because we were taken into chains. See? A lot of people today that come from other countries, come from the Middle East, come from different Asian countries that come to the United States for try to get a better life, try to get opportunity that maybe they can't get in their country, try to get more of them greenbacks. They fly in on planes, right? They fly in on planes. Okay? And then some of the ones that's already here, the Irish ones, the Italian ones, the Polish ones, the German ones, that's been here, whose fathers really came here like maybe 150 years ago, they came in on ships. And when they saw Lady Liberty standing in New York Harbor, they were rejoicing because they came to the promised land. They were happy. But we came here in the bottom of ships, in chains. We weren't trying to come here. We were happy in West Africa. And they snatched us and brought us in chains. And when they took us off them ships, we didn't even know where we were, if we survived. See, we came in different from everybody else. Okay? Which shows who we are. Made war against the saints and prevailed against them. We're going to talk more about that. Let's continue though. I beheld, verse 21, that the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. So there was going to come a time, or there is coming a time, or that time is upon us. That is time for the saints to possess the kingdom. That is this world order that Asatan is so carefully crafted from the time of Nimrod till now. Thousands of years. 4,000 years about. He has crafted, he has worked diligently, he has worked painstakingly to get it to this point. He has had Vatican I 500 years ago, and then in 1961 to 65 or 62 to 65, he had Vatican II for the last stages of what they mean to be. This means to be the last world order. And then one of their boys, who they put in power. You think U.S. presidents are elected? No, they're not elected. The whole election's a sham. They're chosen. Okay? They're chosen because they follow orders. They get orders from corporate masters who are controlled by Rome and Edomites. And they follow orders. And then they create this great charade to make you think you're voting for somebody. And to make you think, brainwash you into thinking you agree with some of these fools. Okay? That's what's actually happening. They follow orders. Okay? And one of their boys, George Bush, the senior one, rose up and said, now we're going to have a new world order. Clinton said the same thing. Barack Obama said the same thing. New world order. Let's continue. But the Ancient of Days came. Let me go back for a couple of verses for a second, because verse 17, remember I said he wanted to know about the fourth beast, right? That's how we started this part of the conversation. Well, verse 17, these great beasts, which are four, as we saw before, are four kings which shall arise out of earth. So four kingdoms will arise, the Rome being the fourth one. Okay? And what's significant? They have close contact. They make war with the Israelite people, with the children of Jacob. Okay? But verse 18, we got to read that one. But verse 18, but the saints of the Most High shall take the kingdom and possess the kingdom forever, even forever and ever. That's what's coming. Again, verse 22, verse 21, 22, I beheld the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them until the Ancient of Days came. And judgment was given to the saints of the Most High. And the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Ancient of Days is the Father. When he says your time is up, your time is up. And he's now getting prepared to say that. Okay? And then, thus he said, verse 23, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon the earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth, and tread it down and break it in pieces. Already happened. You say, how? Christianity has devoured the whole earth. Even in communist countries, you got Catholic churches. Even in Islamic countries, many times there's a mosque right next to a Catholic church. In fact, I've talked to several people, but I remember two I was talking to that were from Afghanistan. Okay, a strong Muslim country, strong, and that's where you get your Taliban hanging out. I mean, very, very strong Muslim countries. They will kill anybody that tries to evangelize in the Christian religion, but they allow the Catholic Church there. Okay, and they allow people to meet in the Catholic Church. Okay, in Afghanistan. What does that tell you? Okay, because that's the way it is, brothers and sisters. All right, so it devoured the whole earth already. We're already under a new world order. Shabbat Shalom. Think about it. We have a United Nations, and whenever there's a skirmish, the group of nations that make up the United Nations, led by the United States, who is being controlled by this beast power Rome, papacy, they talk together about what they're going to do about whoever the skirmish is, whether it's North Korea is the problem or Russia is the problem. It's not just the United States. It's a group of nations that make up what they call sometimes it's NATO, North Atlantic Treaty Organization, or ABSCOM. This is the forces of the UN. We're already under a world order. There's central banks in every major country. Central bank. That is the bank. That's where you get your money printed. That's who controls the economy of the nations. The main central bank is here in Washington, D.C., and they have the main one is in D.C. Guess what? Check it out. They have one in D.C., and they got 12 of 12 around the nation. Okay, 12. That means it's like Messiah and 12 disciples. They've copied it. They got the main one and 12 others, and they're all run by Ashkenazis. You got the ones in Japan, everyone. Japan got a central bank. Canada got a central bank. Mexico got a central bank. England got a central bank. France got a central bank. Germany got a central bank. Italy got a central bank. Spain got a central bank. Portugal got a central bank. Russia got a central bank. In fact, how do you remember? I mean, some of y'all are too young to remember, but I remember when the Russians were fighting against Afghanistan and they got their behind beat. The Afghanistan, they came in them hills in Afghanistan with their Russian military weapons and all that. And them brothers in the mountains beat their behind, sent them running back to Russia. And you know how the war ended? The Russians ran out of money. How'd they run out of money? They kept borrowing from the central bank. And then the central bank, they devalued the ruble, and they didn't have enough money to pay the soldiers. So it was just walking off the field, walking back to their villages in Russia, forgetting the war, leaving equipment. What happened then? They must have made some deal, because then your boy Putin came. And you have now a handful of billionaire Russians that control the country's oil. And all of them weapons that was left in the field, they done took them, and now you could buy a Russian sub on the black market. Anybody can. Okay, Russian planes, Russian subs, Russian missiles, you can buy that stuff. Everything for sale. And they got oligarchs. They had, in fact, a sports team in the United States was owned by a Russian oligarch. The setup from the little horn and the Ashkenazis. Okay, same thing. So now they already have devoured the earth. We just don't realize it. See, when we sitting in front of our television being dumbed down, they're taking over. And by the time we wake up, it's like the frog in the boiling pot of water. The water starts out cool, then it gets warmer. And by the time it's boiling, the frog is frozen and doesn't realize now it's too late. You can't get out. That's what's happening right now. And remember, we studied Isaiah already. Isaiah already showed us in Isaiah chapter 49. It already showed us. He said, shall the lawful captive be delivered? That is, we allowed ourselves to be put into this captivity, his chosen. But he said, I'm going to deliver the lawful captive, and I'm going to save your children. Talking about Israel. See? And now, the representation of the last remnant people is the 144,000. The 144,000 are represented in many places of the Bible. They're represented in Elijah, right, as the one that stood before Ahab and gave pronouncement about the drought, and then called on the Most High and gave the rain. The one that stood on Mount Carmel against the 400 prophets of Baal. The one that was on the run for his life and was provided for while he was on the run by an angel. And he went 40 days without food after he was given that food from the angel. That's a representation of 144,000. Before he was translated in a fiery chariot, that's the 144,000. Okay. He also represented as Moses. Let my people go, Moses said, because they're going to come plagues on you if you don't let my people go. That's how they're getting ready. They're giving that message now. They're giving that message. That's the message of the everlasting gospel. The true gospel that shows the power of Yah's righteousness. Got nothing to do with an institution or government. The only government we know is Yah's government, which is going to be on the shoulders of Messiah. Okay? It's already here. 144,000 are represented in Noah. If you recall, the Bible says there were 8 persons on the ship. But you have to look at it like this. It's Noah plus 7. 7 being a perfect number. Noah representing 144,000, who gave the message of righteousness, who preached the destruction that was coming, plus 7 that were with him, the fam. Perfect number. The remnant. A small number. Okay? It's all over the Bible. People just need to see it. And now, the real 144,000 The ones that, instead of like a symbol of the Messiah with the lambs that was slain and the sheep and the bulls that was killed for sin sacrifice, Messiah himself came, right? And he was the real deal. And now the Redeemer, he's going to come again and destroy the system. We're going to talk about that. But 144,000, you had all these symbols. Elijah was a symbol. Noah was a symbol. Moses was a symbol. And now you're going to have the real McCoys. They're already here. The Most High is already working with them. Okay? Already getting prepared for the seal. That is perfect righteousness from his spirit being placed upon them because they seek to honor the Father in obedience to his covenant. The covenant is a representation of the agreement between Yah and the chosen people that he made first with Abraham, then he made it with Isaac, then he made it with Jacob, and made it with Jacob's children as a nation. And we are the children of Jacob's children. And he has not forgotten his covenant. And obedience to his covenant can only be accomplished through the perfect righteousness that he gives us as a gift through Messiah, the Lion of the tribe of Judah. So this little horn right here is devouring the whole earth. Verse 23. Thus he said, the fourth beast shall be the fourth kingdom upon earth, which shall be diverse from all kingdoms, and shall devour the whole earth and tread it down and break it in pieces. The entire earth is controlled. The media, politics, money, messaging, propaganda, controlled. Okay, controlled. Religion, controlled. Okay, all controlled by the same entity, the beast power, which the beast power has as its front persons, as in front persons. United States of America is the front person for Rome. It's the muscle. Right? You got a mobster, he sits in the back, and some, in the Italian mob, he's sitting in some little deli somewhere, some club in some place in Brooklyn. But he's running things, but you don't know he's running things because he got muscle. All he got to do is a nod or a wink, and they'll carry out the murders that he wants them to do to make sure he stays in power and keeps the money. That's how it works. Okay? So Rome is the godfather. The United States is the muscle. Then you got the money people. Okay, he got people that control his money for him, that he knows where his money is hidden, he knows where he keep it, he knows the accounting of it. That's your Edomites. They control the money, they control the messaging, the media. Okay, it's all set up. It's not hard to see once you open your eyes, man. Not hard to see at all. Okay, but that's what's happening right now. And so this is what makes this one different, because he's directly affecting the saints. He's directly attacking the saints. He's directly trying to control the saints. And this is, brothers and sisters, this is how Yah takes action. When the saints are being directly affected, he came down and he told Moses, I've heard the cry of my people, he said, and I've come to deliver them. See, he said, I've heard the cry of my people, and I've come down to deliver them. So tell Pharaoh X, Y, and Z. Okay? Why did he hear at that time the cry of his people? Why did he hear it? Because the cry of his people included repentance. See, he heard their cry. That means they were crying to him. They weren't crying to the Egyptian government. They were crying to him, and he heard their cry. How do we know that? The scripture. What does it say? The Most High told Solomon when he appeared to him twice. He told him, he said, if my people, which are called by my name, that's Jacob's children, if my people, which are called by my name, shall humble themselves and pray and seek my face. Wait, shall do what? Think about it. Humble themselves and pray and seek my face and turn from their wicked ways. Then will I hear from heaven and will forgive their sin and will heal their land. See, so that had to happen. And let me also add this. It's not all the people that are called by his name that cry inside to him. It's a remnant. See, he will respond to the remnant. That's what happened in Egypt. That's what's going to happen now. He said, Moses, I've heard the cry of my people and the oppression of the Egyptians, and I have come to deliver them. Right now, his spirit is touching the remnant of his people right now. He's raising up the 144,000 as examples, as teachers, as people that are being led by his spirit to inspire those that are his chosen to awaken and to cry to the Most High. And he will hear their prayer and he will come down to deliver us. Then he sent Moses. Now he's sending 144,000. Then he said plagues. He's going to send plagues again. And after the plagues come, he had Messiah lead them. He said that rock that followed them was Messiah. They were led by a spiritual rock that followed them. And that rock that followed them was Messiah. Messiah was on Mount Sinai with the trumpet call to get the people together to hear the Father. Messiah was with his sword drawn in front of Joshua as captain of Yah's host in my now come. Messiah was the angel that Father told Moses, I'm sending him before you. Don't mess with him because he's not going to be playing. He represents me. My name is in him. That's Messiah. In time past, Hebrews says, he spoke to us through the prophets. But in these last days, he's speaking to us through his son, who is heir of the world. So the 144,000 point people to the Father through the Messiah to receive that perfect righteousness and be prepared to be delivered. Right now, the entire world is under one order, economically, politically, religiously. It's under one order. And you're going to see that more and more start. Brothers and sisters, just as Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah were in the crowd when Nebuchadnezzar had made the image and was demanding that everybody worship this image. They were in the crowd and they refused to worship. The multitude of their brothers and sisters that was there with them did bow. They refused to worship. What Nebuchadnezzar was attempting to do was force all people to worship that one image, a one world order of religion. The king of Babylon was attempting to create a one world order of religion. And he demanded that everyone worship this one world order of religion or you're going to die. But Hananiah, Mishael, and Azariah refused. On what grounds? Thou shalt have no other gods before me. I am the Lord thy God, which brought thee out of the land of Egypt and out of the house of bondage. Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt not make unto thee any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in heaven above or in the earth beneath or in the waters under the earth. Thou shalt not bow down thyself to them nor serve them. For Yahweh thy God is a jealous God. That's why they would not bow to Nebuchadnezzar's image. So in Revelation 13, we have an image that the power of Babylon, which is the beast power, has created. He created this image through his muscle, the United States of America. This image is a false religious system that's after the order of the Roman Catholic system. If you're paying attention, you look at all the major religions in terms of the major denominations of Christianity. Look at all of the major denominations, your Mormons, your SDAs, your Jehovah's Witnesses, your Baptists, your Pentecostals. I mean, they're organized, correct? They're organized. They have conferences. They have hierarchies. that lead up to a small group of people that are leaders of those denominations. It is the exact same order as Rome. They have priests, they have bishops, they have archbishops that lead to the top person, which is the Pope. Now, all of the other denominations don't have a Pope because all of them bow to the one Pope. So that what you're going to have is this is what's coming, you're going to have people that are involved with these religions are not going to have a problem. Even they're going to have no problem if you're Muslim. Even they're not going to have any problem if you're Buddhist or Hindu. They don't care. As long as you honor the Pope of Rome, no problem. Call yourself whatever you want. But if you speak against him and against his system, and if you refuse to be involved with the worship of that system, you're placed on a list. Now they call it a terrorist list, hate group list. Okay? And if you refuse to be a 501c3, you're placed on a list. And they know who you are. They know who I am. They're not concerned with me right now. They're monitoring me. Why? Because I don't have any money. I don't have any buildings. I'm not asking for any money. I'm not breaking any of their laws, even with my beliefs. But when the thing changes and it becomes more patriotic, and you have more of these diseases, these pandemics, and other things coming upon the earth, and they start to turn, and you're going to have this. What's going to happen next? I told you a few months ago that this was a dress rehearsal, right? This is just a dress rehearsal, getting us ready. Okay, so what's coming? You're going to see a religious revival. You're going to see a religious revival in the United States of America. A revival of people going to church. You're going to see that. You're going to see a revival of families coming together, going to church. You're going to see that. That's coming. And then those of us not involved with that revival are going to stick out like a sore thumb. Those of us even speaking against it are going to stick out like a sore thumb. Then they'll be agitated by us. Don't do anything to us at first. They'll be agitated. Then it'll get violent. Revelation chapter 13. Talking about the United States of America, beginning at verse 11. Going down to verse 15. Especially verse 15. And I beheld another beast coming up out of the earth. And he had two horns like a lamb. And he spake as a dragon. And he exercises all the power of the first beast before him, and causeth the earth and them which dwell therein to worship the first beast, whose deadly wound was healed. One world order, one world religion. And he doeth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. That is the power of nuclear warheads. They dropped 2 of them on Japan already. They've carpeted. They told Turkey, it was quoted at a UN meeting. The United States wanted to create air bases in Turkey. Turkey's an independent nation. So Turkey had to get permission to allow the United States to have air bases in Turkey. Okay. They could have it in Germany because they had them since World War II there when they came over and saved the Germans. They had it in England when they came over in World War II and helped the English. They have it in Italy for the same reason. They had U.S. bases in these places, but they wanted bases in in Turkey, so they can quickly get to Iraq and Iran. Okay. Turkish government said no. No. And they offered money to the Turkish government. They said, we'll give you money. Turkish government said no. Okay. This was the last Iraq war. So at the UN, the representative for the UN of the United States told the representative of Turkey, the diplomat, either you're going to take the money and give us the bases, or we're going to carpet your country with bombs. Guess what? They got the bases. He had power to make fire come down from heaven on the earth and the side of men. Okay? And he doth great wonders, so that he maketh fire come down from heaven on the earth in the sight of men. In verse 14, and deceiveth them that dwell on the earth by the means of those miracles which he had power to do in the sight of the beast, saying to them that dwell on the earth that they should make an image. An image. What kind of image? An image to the beast, which had the wound by a sword and did live. The image to Rome. They should create something that duplicates the Roman Catholic system, which means not only your church, but your state is involved. Why do you think the Senate, the House of Representatives, the Supreme Court is run by Roman Catholics and Ashkenazis? It's not coincidence. What? But look, the majority leader in the House of Representatives, Nancy Pelosi, is a Roman Catholic. Okay? The Democratic leader in the Senate, the Democratic leader, Chuck Schumer, is an Ashkenazi. These people have been in these positions a long time. That's no coincidence. Both of them, multi-millionaires, both of them. Pelosi worth over 100 million. I can't tell you what Schumer worth, but that's an Ashkenazi from New York. Okay, enough said. So today, you know what I'm saying? Supreme Court, 9 justices, 3 Ashkenazis, 6 Roman Catholics. Come on now. Sitting behind the president, the vice president, Roman Catholic. Dr. Fauci, Jesuit trained, Roman Catholic, the doctor. Okay, it's already here. People just don't realize it. It's already here. It's been here. Who got Barack Obama into the White House? Ashkenazis from Chicago. Ashkenazis. Rahm Emanuel, Ashkenazi. Okay, I forgot the name of them other 2 cats that got him in there, but they were Ashkenazi. One of them was homosexual. One of them was a money man. That's who got him in there. Ashkenazis. Okay. Who got Donald Trump in the White House? Who supported him? Roman Catholics. The guy that heads the alt-right is a Roman Catholic. Been to Rome, talked to the Pope, kissed his ring. That's how it started. It's already here, brothers and sisters. It's already here. We just don't know it yet because we're in the frog, in the frying pan, in the boiling water, and we don't realize it. But the remnant realize it. The Spirit of the Father is waking up the remnant. Praise the Most High Yah. Okay? He had power, verse 15, to give life to the image. So you have an image, a system that's set up after the order of Rome. Okay? One world order in religion, one world order in government. Now, he had power to give life to the image. What does that mean? That means it starts to talk. That means it has teeth. See, you could make a law on the books, but until it's enforced, right, it doesn't have teeth. Like, for example, they made a voting rights law in 1965, right, or 64. They put a voting rights, Civil Rights Act, 1964-65, Civil Rights Act and a Voting Rights Act, whereby so-called African Americans were not to be denied their right to vote. And yet, they have gerrymandered all of the Caucasian-led Southern states and Republican states so that your vote doesn't count. And then, so you get discouraged and you don't vote anyway. See? So the law they made has no teeth. If they wanted to, they can force it. They can enforce it, and we would all get to vote. But they don't want to do that. Okay? The Civil Rights Act, 1960, did that cause Mr. Floyd not to get murdered in the street? Did that cause Mr. Ahmed to not get murdered in the street? Did that cause Breonna Taylor not to get murdered in her own bed? And the hundreds of others just like them? So what? The Civil Rights Act, what Malcolm X said, down the drain. It's got no teeth. Now, they could make it have teeth if they wanted to, but it's got no teeth. You can't speak. But when they now create these religious laws, where they now have this revival and already have all their agents in place in the government, they can give it teeth. which means if you violate their religious laws, in other words, if you're on the hate group list, you're going to have a problem. You want to know what it looks like? This is what it looks like. And I'm giving you a light example. It's going to be much heavier. What it looks like is check out what happened to the Muslims after 9/11. What was going on in the mosque after 9/11? All over the world in terms of the European powers. These brothers couldn't just go into their mosque and worship their God. No, there was surveillance. They were being questioned. They were being arrested. Assets were being frozen. And that's them. They're not the true people. That's a dress rehearsal for us to see. It's coming to us. How did it come to them? The same day that them twin towers fell, the same day. They didn't have to wait 2 days or 3 days or a month. Before the end of the day on September 11th, they had this dude face plastered all over the television as the culprit. Muslim dude face plastered all over the television as the culprit. Osama bin Laden became enemy number one. And they kept giving us the picture of him with that towel over his head. And everybody hated, these Caucasians hated the Muslims. And you had kids lining up outside of recruitment centers, dying to go over there and kill Muslims because of 9/11. What if I was to tell you these people had nothing to do with 9/11? What if I was to tell you it was set up so that that would happen? Okay. What if I was to tell you that a small group of people profited by hundreds of millions of dollars on military stocks, knowing that 9/11 was going to happen, investing in the stocks beforehand and getting rich because all those military stocks went through the roof because they were going to be making armaments for war? It already showed us how it's going to get done. You're going to see more 9/11s. You're going to see more media pointing the finger at the people that's going to be the new boogeyman. They created boogeyman. It was Osama, then it was Taliban, right? Then you had alt-right. I mean, not alt-right. That's another boogeyman. But you create all these boogeymen. Okay, you had the Ayatollah Khomeini was a boogeyman, and then you had the president of Iran. Oh man, I forgot his name. He was another one. He was a boogeyman. Then the dude that was the president of Venezuela, he was the boogeyman. Then the dude in Cuba was the boogeyman. They create boogeyman. You gotta be scared of these people. They're gonna come and kill us all. Imagine now, they're already scared of the black man, the so-called black man. The European powers are already scared of him because they know what they did to him. Imagine now he starts to awaken about who he is, and the force of the power of the Father's Spirit is with him, and they're scared of that. Imagine, brothers and sisters, it's coming. The majority of the black people are going to fold. See, you're going to see it. But, it's brothers and sisters. It's a lot different when somebody's pointing a 9mm at your head. It's a lot, brothers and sisters, it gets real. And brothers start begging for their life. It gets real. When they show up at your door and aggressively push your door in and snatch you, it gets real. It's coming. And only the power of the gift of spirit of grace and righteousness will keep us at that time. It's got to be real for us now. And these things must happen before the last world order is formed. The last world order is an order that's a monarchy. What is a monarchy? A monarchy is a nation or a kingdom that's led by a king. That's a monarchy. Like the UK used to be a monarchy. You still got the queen there, but she answers to the parliament, right? But there was a monarchy. There was king, queen, prince, and all that, right? The Catholic Church is really a monarchy. It's led by that one man, the Pope. Okay? Well, Yah's government is going to be a monarchy. Because why? Because the head monarch is the creator of everything, Father. And he has set as the king of this earth his son, Messiah. And he's a king of righteousness. Notice again, Revelation chapter 19. Revelation chapter 19. Revelation 19. Verse 11. Verse 11 down to verse 14. And I saw heaven open, and behold, a white horse, and he that sat upon him was called Faithful and True, and in righteousness he does judge and make war. Everything he does, everything he says, everything he is perfect righteousness, perfectly morally upright. No blemish, no selfishness, no sin in it, no lie in it, completely true. In righteousness he does judge and make war. His eyes were as a flame of fire, and on his head were many crowns. And he had a name written which no man knew but he himself. And he was clothed in a vesture dipped in blood, and his name is called the Word of Yahweh. And the armies which were in heaven followed him upon white horses, clothed in fine linen, clean and white. We know the fine linen is the righteousness of the saints. So, brothers and sisters, it's going to be a monarchy, but it's going to be a monarchy of righteousness. No more pain, no more death. No more crime, no more unfairness. Our king is going to rule in perfect righteousness. Okay? But before that, there's going to be violence. There's going to be a war. But righteousness of the Father first changes his saints and prepares us for the kingdom that's going to be a kingdom of righteousness. How can anybody that's not also made in the spirit of perfect righteousness live in the kingdom of righteousness? If he would, the Bible already showed us, if he was to allow an unrepentant sin in the kingdom, this whole thing would start all over again. And that ain't going to happen. So when we study Isaiah 59, the last few verses talked about the kingdom of righteousness. And then chapter 60 is now going to tell us the results of the new world order. That's the last world order. That is the world order of Messiah. The world order of Messiah. Let's take a look. I'm going to start at chapter 59 at verse 19. So shall they fear the name of Yahweh from the west, and his glory from the rising of the sun. When the enemy shall come in like a flood, the spirit of Yahweh shall lift up a standard against him, and the Redeemer shall come to Zion, and unto them that turn from transgression in Jacob, saith Yahweh. As for me, my covenant is with them, saith Yahweh. My spirit that is upon thee, and my words which I have put in thy mouth, shall not depart out of thy mouth. That's the word of perfect righteousness. That's the spirit of righteousness. That's Yah. That's obedience to his covenant. Shall not depart out of your mouth. Nor out of the mouth of thy seed. Nor out of the mouth of thy seed. So is it just going to be for you, your children, your grandchildren? Says Yahweh, from henceforth and forever. Forever. Everlasting kingdom. Things that live forever. Perfect righteousness. Everlasting righteousness lives forever. The gospel of Messiah, that is power that causes Yah's righteousness to be revealed, lives forever. The covenant of Yah, spoken from Sinai to only his chosen people, is forever. So everything that inhabits this kingdom of righteousness will live forever. Never die. It's coming. There's some rough road ahead. There's no question. The roughest road that's ever existed in the history of planet Earth is right ahead of us. We are right on the precipice right now. This was the dress rehearsal, this COVID-19, this depression that we're now in. It's just the dress rehearsal. It's showing us what's coming. Brothers and sisters, it's time for us to turn to our God. Especially you Hebrews, especially you bloodline. Why is it especially the bloodline? Because when the bloodline awakens, the earth will receive the clear truth, unvarnished, pure. Because as a result of our captivity over the 2,000 years, what you get? Christianity, Islam, Judaism. You get all of these fake, you get communism, socialism, capitalism. That what happened when we was in captivity for our sin. That what happened. Because whenever the Hebrews are not in the position they were ordained to be in to teach the earth about the only true God, you get all kind of stuff. You get all kind of stuff. So the Hebrews must awaken because the earth really doesn't realize it, but it's waiting for them. That's why the emphasis is on the 144,000. The earth is waiting for them. The Bible says that even nature groans. It's groaning under the weight of sin and corruption on the earth. Even nature's groaning. It's waiting to be delivered. And the deliverance begins with the seal of the 144,000. So you Hebrews, forget the money, man. Forget the dollar bills. Let them Ashkenazis handle their own business, okay? That stuff is temporary. And I know it's hard. You can see brothers begging for money for their ministries and mess. It's temporary. The dollar bills will be worthless soon. We won't be touching their gold soon. Brothers and sisters, it's time for us to awaken. The earth is waiting for us. Isaiah chapter 60. And we saw this a couple of chapters ago where the Most High told his people to do what? He told his people to arise. He told people to arise a couple of times, right? In the past chapters, we were awake, he said, awake, awake. Awake, awake. That's what he kept saying. This chapter 51, chapter 52. Awake, awake, awake. He's trying to tell his people, awake up. Now, the end of chapter 59 and chapter 60 is a representation of the first resurrection. It's a representation of Messiah coming to establish his kingdom starting on the promised land. It's a representation, and no, when Messiah returns, that means 144,000 have done their appointed work, a work appointed by the Most High for them to do. They have been sealed and they have brought forth the message of warning to the earth, and they have prepared the people. Remember what the Bible says in Malachi? I'll send forth Elijah before the great and dreadful day of Yahweh come, to send the children to the fathers and the fathers to the children, lest I come and smite the earth with a curse. The word that he's putting through them is going to prepare the saints that are bloodline, the remnant of the Gentiles that come also, to prepare them for the kingdom that's come. Brothers and sisters, there is nothing that's going to stop the kingdom. There's nothing going to stop it. It's in Yah's time. He set the word in motion before the foundation of the earth, and all the universe is working to fulfill his word. It's going to come past as he wants it, when he wants it. The only question is, what part of prophecy and history are we going to play? That's the only question. And he already knows that too. He knows them that are his. He is Alpha and Omega. He already has ordained who are his. He has predestined that. But I don't know, and you don't know. We're not supposed to know. We're supposed to just, in righteousness, give the word honestly, sincerely, truthfully, straight. And let the chips fall where they may. Yahweh adds to the church daily, such as should be saved. He already knows who's a his. He's got their names already written. He's got prepared. The kingdom's prepared for them. I don't know, though. He's not giving us that because it has to be done in righteousness. Every human being has to make their own choice. Before the whole unfallen universe, every human being has to make their own choice in righteousness. Yah is a God of righteousness, so it has to be done with proper order, with proper choice. He's given every human being the power to choose. You could choose which way you're going to serve, which way you're going to go. That's up to you. He already knows what you're going to choose. I don't know. He just appointed me and all my brethren to teach you. You choose what you're going to do. See, that's why, just a quick story, man, before we read Isaiah 60. The other day, I was listening to a podcast it was about some guys trying to talk about the Knicks, and they didn't know. I felt like they didn't know what they was talking about. Okay, and I said, these guys don't know what they're talking about because they never coached. I used to coach basketball. I played basketball. I coached some players that became NBA players, and so I know a little bit about basketball. These guys, I could tell, didn't know, so they got mad. And they listened to one of these sermons. They tried to make fun of it. And I laughed because, see, I'm at my mindset is not about getting mad when somebody doesn't agree with me. It's just, for me, the Most High has put it on me to teach this stuff, to give it to people. Wherever it falls, it goes. That's not my concern. What people think about it, I don't care. Okay, that's just what I'm saying. They could agree, disagree, fight, argue with themselves, because I don't care. This is why I laugh. And that's the way it is now. He knows those that are his. He already knows who he's chosen. I don't know. It's not for me to know. It's for me to just give it. And anybody that's in the same position to me, just give it. You don't have to debate, argue about it, or nothing. It's done by conviction. You don't come to the Most High because of your intellect, because of how smart you are. You don't come to this truth because you got a high IQ. You come to this truth by conviction. You've never seen Father. You come to him by conviction. You believe he exists by your conviction. And I'm telling you, that conviction comes by his spirit. You never met Messiah, yet you follow him by conviction. See, the apostles were eyewitnesses. They were there. So they said we could bear witness because we were there. You and I are bearing witness on conviction. So being that it is by conviction, it's not for me to worry about whether you convicted or not. That's your choice. It's just for me to be convicted to give it. Woe to me if I don't. I freely receive and I freely give. I don't get paid to do this. I don't want no money to do it. It'd be, to me, any money that somebody could offer me to preach this word would be a disservice. It would be dishonor. Why would it be dishonor? Because what price can you put on something that's eternal? What price can you put on that? What price can you put on having a gift that takes away all your sin? What price can you put on that? What price can you put on a spirit of perfect righteousness that we get for free? What price can you put on that? That's what I'm saying. There's no amount of money that somebody can say, I want to give you this money that's going to make it's a disservice. I'm sorry, but that's how I see it. It's a disservice. Because there's no amount of printed dollars that can represent this. You see what I'm saying? Okay, let's go to Isaiah 60. I'm getting too excited. I'm sorry. Isaiah chapter 60. Let's start at verse 1. So now this is the first resurrection. Okay? Isaiah chapter 60, I'm beginning at verse 1. Arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon thee. There it is. Remember he said that the heathen gonna know him when he's glorified in us. That's Ezekiel 36. He said the heathen gonna know when he is glorified in us. Arise, shine, for thy light is come. Wow. Thy light is come, and the glory of Yahweh is risen upon thee. How much power is this spirit, man? Can't be measured, can it? Can you measure his spirit? Can you measure how much air there is out here? Woo! For behold, darkness shall cover the earth. See, that's where we are right now. Darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people. But Yahweh shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. See, brothers and sisters, I'm telling you, Gentile. There's a couple of groups of Gentiles. See, most of the brothers don't understand this. They try to make the Gentiles a monolith, just like the Gentiles try to make all black people a monolith. When I say a monolith, they think we all the same. We're not all the same. And they're not all the same. Okay? There are Gentiles, they're going to come to this stuff at the last minute, and they're going to be our servants. They're going to be our servants. Isaiah 14:7. There are Gentiles going to come to this thing now while it is unpopular, while they get the most beef from their own people, even some going to die for it. They're going to be kings. The Bible says they're going to be kings of nations of their own kind. And they're going to answer. They're going to be Israelites. They're going to answer to, but they're going to still rule on their people, their own people, in righteousness, in truth, because they got their head cut off for this truth. They got burned up for this truth. They got shot for this truth. They got tortured for this truth. That's what's going to happen. And they're going to get the reward they got coming. But that, again, is a remnant. There's going to be a remnant of them that's going to be our servants. They're going to be, Bible going to show us. There's going to be a remnant of them that's going to be kings. We're also going to be kings and priests on the earth. For behold, darkness shall cover the earth. That is spiritual darkness. That's what happens when you have Gentiles running religion. Sons of Yafet. Yah shall enlarge Yafet, and he shall dwell in the tents of Shem. Enlarge. He shall entice Yafet, and Yafet shall dwell in the tents of Shem. That's what they're doing. And that's why you have darkness upon the earth. Well, many places in the book of Revelation talks about the sun, the light of the sun gone, and the moon don't shine. That's spiritual darkness. That's what the earth is in right now. Spiritual darkness. Okay? For behold, darkness covered the earth, gross darkness the people, but Yahweh shall rise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee. Those that want truth will recognize those speaking truth. You know what they used to say, right? Game recognize game, right? in the black neighborhood. That's what they used to say. Game recognize game. Well, those seeking truth will recognize the power upon the people that are the people of the truth. Again, it's by conviction. His glory shall be seen upon thee. When Moses came down from the mountain with the two tables of the covenant in his hand, Yah's glory was on him in such a way, the people who were the carnal people, they were carnal. They were scared of that light coming off the brother's face. Didn't understand that that is the end result of what Yah wants for all his people, to have that glow and that light coming off your face. That was after 40 days and 40 nights with no food and no water. No food and no water. How was he sustained? It's not humanly possible. No, it's not. It's not. He was up on the Father's Spirit. The Father's Spirit fed him with everything he needed. Man shall not live by bread only, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of Yah. His Spirit fed Moses for 40 days, 40 nights. Moses probably didn't realize the time went by. Probably didn't realize. You know how I thought that? You know why I think that? There's a true story of a woman. She was in Virginia, Southern Virginia. Had a bad ice storm one winter. True story. Power went out. She got on her knees to pray because it was getting cold in her house, below zero. Power went out. And the power was out for a week. And then finally the authorities, somebody said to check because there's an old woman living in such and such a place. She might be dead. Power been out for a week and she had no heat and we never heard from her. They broke into her house and they found her kneeling next to her bed. And they touched her. And when they touched her, she jumped up and she said, "Oh, I'm glad you came so quickly." Didn't even realize that a whole week had went by. Didn't even realize that she was in prayer in a house with no heat, below zero, for a week. And she was fine. That's how I know. Moses probably didn't even realize 40 days went by. Ooh, brothers and sisters. What we got? You know what we got, man. Okay. Verse 3. And the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. The Gentile. So now, see, the Bible in the New Testament talks about two. Again, you can't think of all Gentiles as a monolith. The Bible talks about two types of Gentiles. There are those that are actually bloodline Israelites, children of Jacob that have lived so long among the Gentiles that they actually think they Gentiles. They actually worship like Gentiles. They actually act like Gentiles. Wait a minute, does that sound familiar to you? They were called Hellenists because they weren't used to living among their own people. They weren't used to living the ways of Yah's people. They weren't used to law. They were just bloodline. And the brothers reached out to them in Messiah's name, and they started coming to the truth because they were now coming back to their roots. Talking about roots. And they were called Hellenists. But the Bible calls them Gentiles. Then there are Gentiles, that what you think as Gentiles, not bloodline Israelites, sons of Japhet, generally, and they don't have any ties in terms of bloodline to Jacob. Those are Gentile. But then again, you have those in the book of Acts. There's also Hellenists. There's also Hellenists. Now, Peter and James were sent to work to give the word of the Messiah to the circumcision, that is, to the Gentiles that were Hellenists, as well as the scattered nation of Israel that was just living in these countries, but understood who they were, but were living in these areas of Gentiles. So Peter and James were ordained to give the message of the Hebrew Messiah, tribe of Judah, to these people. And then Paul was ordained to give the message to Gentiles, with also some of them Hellenists and also pure sons of Japhet. Okay. So here, when you talk about Gentiles, you can cover both areas, right? They come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. People gonna recognize the truth. Recognize gain. They're gonna be searching for truth. See, right now, lots of people, and in fact, I think the majority of the earth is searching for truth. Okay. Majority of people searching for truth, but they don't realize there's so much confusion and deception out here. They don't realize. Like I was watching an interview the other day with this young woman, like 28, 29 years old. She was a doctor of physical therapy. She was a champion CrossFit person. She was an athlete. She was swimming. Her life, every minute of her life was full. She worked out 4 hours a day, plus she do physical therapy with the other hours. And I thought to myself, here's a woman that's running from herself. See, the woman was praising her. Oh, you've made all these accomplishments. But I saw somebody that was running from themselves. They were afraid for a few minutes of quiet because they might have to think about their true condition. And they can't deal with that. So they keep themselves incessantly busy, trying to achieve and then achieve. Overtrain 4 hours a day, really? But see, that's what drives it. And see, it still ends up being what? Empty. Still ends up being empty. Or people find a new religion or something, and they jump on it. Even this truth, people jump on it real quick, real hard, real fast. That's the one that's planted on shallow ground. Then it'll die off because they're looking for something, but they're not finding it. And a lot of Israelites, that happened to a lot of bloodline Israelites in this truth, because the brothers don't know anything about the spirit of righteousness from Messiah. They don't know what it does. They don't understand righteousness by faith. All they know is putting tassels and long beards and wearing uniforms and trying to keep the laws, and they're struggling. They're struggling. Because it's impossible to keep the law, even if you see them, without the perfect righteousness of the Father upon you, without his spirit resting on your forehead. You cannot do it. But they don't know that yet. You understand? They don't know that yet. So they're struggling. They're searching for something. They almost do, but they can't see it. It's like they're inside of a dark room trying to find the switch. And the light they couldn't find it. It's dark in there. They're in the right room, but they haven't found the switch yet. And so people go to their jobs, they go into things, different things, religions, whatever, searching for that fulfillment that they never get. They might get it temporarily, but it doesn't last. Only the perfect, eternal spirit of the Father lasts forever. That will keep a fire in. It will never go out. Because it's eternal. Okay? So Gentiles shall come to thy light, and kings to the brightness of thy rising. Lift up thy eyes round about and see. All they gather themselves together. They come to thee. Thy sons come from afar. Thy daughters shall be nursed at thy side. They come to thee. Who? The Israelites. That's what we say. The Judeans, the southern kingdom of Judah and the northern kingdom of Israel are saved by faith. The Gentiles are saved through faith. They come to thee, to the brightness of thy rising, Israel, the truth of the true people of Israel, the ones who are the Eidos. Once we all awaken that are supposed to be awake, it's still being worked out. I praise Yah. I'm so frustrated sometimes. I see some of these brothers, some of the things come out of these brothers' mouths. I have to get on my knees, but then I remember Yah is Alpha and Omega. And it calms me because I say, oh man, you know what? Yah already got this. He's already ordained who his jewels are going to be. And they're not all coming at the same time. They're going to come at different stages and everybody's at different places. And we got to learn and unlearn, right? At the end of the day, that's not my concern. I got to catch myself. Wait, brother. Your concern is making sure you're following the truth. Remember, Messiah tested Peter. Now, Peter denied him 3 times, right? So Messiah asked him 3 times, Kapha, Simon, do you love me? And he said, yeah, I love you. You know I love you. You know you're my homie. Okay, feed my sheep. Shafa, Kapha, Shimon, do you love me? He said, you know I love you. You know everything. You know I love you. Okay, feed my lambs. Kapha, Shimon, do you love me? Now Peter's sad because he knows Messiah knows everything. And he knows he denied him 3 times. So Messiah came back to him 3 times. He asked him the 3rd time. Peter broke down. He said, you know everything. You know already. He said, okay. This is how your life's you're gonna end up being crucified for me. When you're older. You're gonna live for me this now. And you're gonna be mine. Where you're gonna end up being crucified for me. Told him. Peter speaks about it too in one of his letters. I think it's 1 Peter. He's going to die. He said, before my decease. And he knows he's going to die. He knows how he's going to die. So in Fox and Books of Martyr, they said they put him on a cross. And he requested to be upside down because he didn't want to die in the same way. He wasn't worthy to die in the same way that Messiah died. Romans put him to death also. Now, another man was walking. Here come the apostle, Yochanan, John, who would be the apostle that writes both the Gospel of John and the book of Revelation, is 1st, 2nd, and 3rd John. He's coming. And Peter say, what's his future? Peter say, what's his future? What's going to happen to him? Messiah said, mind your business. I mean, he didn't say it like that. He said, what's that to you? Mind your business. You make sure you following me. What his future is between me and him. See? That's what he's telling me. Don't worry about these brothers. You do what you're supposed to do. I got them. Praise the Most High Yah. Praise his name. Brothers and sisters, may the Most High bless you to follow him in truth, to be satisfied with his perfect righteousness, with his spirit upon your forehead, that you will have people coming to your light that he puts on you. Praise the Most High Yah. We're going to continue this on tomorrow by the grace of the Most High. We're going to continue this on tomorrow in part 2 of the last world order. Praise the Most High Yah.